Peter Fury, and don't forget to subscribe to Porky's Corner, because I've been a helmet of the month and you need to listen to me. Yeah? So follow him, yeah? And get the fella some followers up, for Christ's sake. He wears his heart on his sleeves, the good man Russ. So follow Porky's Corner, he says it as it is, and you know, I appreciate the helmet of the month, Russ. No problem.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Give me just one example. You give me one example of where you haven't walked forward and outworked someone. You just give me one fight where you haven't done that. Not one.
I've shown a range of different styles.
You've shown one style.
Commonwealth, British, European.
And you've done it all with one style. Fair play to you. Fair play to you. You've done it all with one style. You've got to look at where you've fought for every single title that's been vacant. You've never defeated a champion. Never defeated the champion.
I defeated you.
Never did. I wasn't a champion. I was a 16-fight novice. It wasn't hard to beat me. Over Mackenzie nearly beat me. Over Mackenzie nearly beat me too.
Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How are you doing? It's Big Porky here, the voice of hardcore boxing. Today I'm joined by my good friend, my old sparring partner, and Carl Frock's lover, Terry Chapp. How are you doing, Terry?
Mate, all good the same, mate. This is our first one of the year, right?
First one of the year, kid.
Happy New Year to you as well, mate. Happy New Year to your listeners.
You had a good one?
Mate, you know, like in these COVID times, you can't go too crazy. So I'm just happy to spend another one with my family and that, man. Just give thanks for that.
Yeah, it's a lad who works here. He's somebody's just had to leave here to go to other places. Mum's been found dead in bed, so I don't know what's going on there, but you know, there's always somebody worse off than yourself, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly.
So this is why I like to cherish every day now, especially after my incident in Turkey. Just got to make most of it, haven't you?
Yeah, I bet you didn't even eat turkey for Christmas, did you?
Soup. Soup and more soup and shakes. But I'm on them full fat ones. So I'm putting a bit of weight on now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But mate, I tell you what though, you might want to try some uncastrated wild boar as well while you're at it.
Yeah, that sounds good, doesn't it? I've heard there's been some beef online at the Vladimir and Tyson Fury going at it. Regarding wild boar or something, is it?
I know he had a pop at Usyk calling him a steroid head, which I was a bit like.
Call Usyk a steroid head, Tyson.
Yeah.
I'm trying to salt fight with Usyk now.
You look disgusted, Russ.
Do you know Usyk, right? Yeah, the probably cleanest living athlete out at law, most dedicated, most decorated in amateurs, along with Lomachenko. These people don't need to cheat, do they? Come on, how can Tyson call Usyk a cheat? They had 3 dope tests, didn't he? 3 charges, 3, not 1, not 2, 3. Ted Rogers' job. So I don't know. It can only be trying to be relevant or trying to self-fight. But like I said to you before, and I'll say it again, and my listeners, I hope they say to me, them lot, it goes in one ear and out other now, because once you lie to me, that else is no good.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know a little bit more about the wild boar story than most do, and I can assure you, they need to pipe down if they want to start going on about that. But,
I'm happy that Porky knows about the wild boar story. The best place source for it.
Well, we'll see. I might tell that story one day. We will see. Right. There's a lot gone on since we last spoke, but I want to go on about a couple of things that have happened in the last couple of days. I know you mentioned some on your podcast, the Beautiful Boxing podcast at SoundCloud. Is it, Terry?
SoundCloud, Spotify. Hey, I see you're on Spotify too now. Yeah, getting your audio grift on. I like it.
Yeah, I don't. Do you Cameron deals with that and Twitter?
Mate, I tell you what,
yeah.
it makes life a lot easier because it means I don't have to. Because the problem with YouTube is unless you subscribe to YouTube, like I have to have the video running.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you see someone like me, like if I'm working, I can just run 4 or 5 podcasts one after the other. So actually, being on Spotify is easier for you in terms of discovery and people being able to listen.
Yeah, well, Cameron deals with all that. The Twitter have been in touch and they're letting us back on. It's called @Porky's News Desk, but they won't let me have any passwords or anything. So which is probably for the best because I get carried away on Twitter. It's quite addictive, isn't it? Right. Big shout out to Martin Theobald. Happy New Year, Martin and Andy. What's he called? Ben Davidson has come out. He's been controversial in the last few days. He's said things that, you know, he believes in. People are saying it's a dig at Peter Fury, Jimmy Tibbs, Mark Tibbs, Shane McGuigan, blah, blah, blah. Look, is Ben Davidson going to come out and mention names that trainers that he don't rate and that are lazy and blah, blah, blah? Or is he just going to say certain trainers? It reminds me when Eddie Hearn used to say, fighters are not getting paid, so they're signing for Matchroom. But he weren't saying what fighters, were he? So is Ben just playing the game or what? What's your take on that, Terry?
Ben's saying what we've known for a long time, Porky, that British trainer, like in terms of training elite level boxers in this country, it's been a closed shop for a long time, right? If you come on, man, you're the guy that says it. How is Caldwell still training guys? You point out yourself. How's Caldwell still doing this? How's Adam Boo?
Don't you Adam Boo, the Dark Lord, he's the best.
You know, so for me, when I look at that, I go, let Ben have his shine at the moment. Like a lot of these guys, I've been saying for years, a lot of these guys are hoaxers. You know, they've created this media mystique about themselves, which, you know what I mean, it gets them paid, but they're not good trainers. They're not guys who can take a kid from zero and make him elite. They're not that good.
I'm just doing that, are they, Terry? They're not taking kids from that debut, are they?
They don't have to, right? Because you look at McCracken. McCracken just says, right, stick with me. I'll get you wherever you want to go, right? But McCracken will make you fit. He'll make you strong, but he doesn't. Who's he ever taught to move their head? You've never seen Froch bend at the waist. You've never seen Joshua try and bend it. You've never seen any variety, right? He just makes you strong. He makes you fit. You stand up. You throw punches. You get hit. You hit them back. They hit you back. And it worked with Froch because Froch had a reasonable chin.
Do you think
really
that Joshua and Froch are very similar in the styles, Terry?
Not in style, but in principle, yes. In principle,
hard work and fitness.
Well, look, just the way they look in the ring, it's like a reasonable jab. And then when your guy's tired, you just pile the pressure on. Like they're just like Froch used to do. Froch is an amazing boxer. Like George Groves showed that. George just peppered him. You know, George isn't elite. Let's be honest about this. George is like a European plus level guy. And he was peppering Carl Froch for 2 fights. He had his way with him, but he just didn't have the engine.
Jermaine Taylor did well against Carl, didn't he?
And Jermaine Taylor's a guy who can really, really box. There's a guy who can actually box. There's a guy who's well trained. So when Ben Davison starts talking about British trainers are lazy, he's 100% right. And I'll say this, and if it gets me in trouble, it does. But would Mark Tibbs be training fighters if he wasn't Jimmy Tibbs' son?
I don't know. He learned off his dad, hasn't he?
What's he learned off his dad?
Well, he's been around his dad years, hasn't he?
No. What's he learned off his dad?
Well, I don't know. I'm not a trainer, am I? He would have learned his
That's
crap,
what I'm saying to you. No. But you see, you fall into the trap as well, Russ. He learned off his dad. Okay, no. What did he learn off his dad? We don't know.
We're going to find out, aren't we?
Well, I thought we've had years to have a look, and we haven't seen anything yet, have we?
Dylan White never lost a fight with Mark Tibbs.
Yeah, but you slaughter his record all the time.
Yeah, I do, yeah. I suppose, yeah, you could look at it that way, yeah.
So basically what you're saying is, Mark, he may be your mate, Porky, but you got to be objective here. Mark got where he is because he's a Tibbs.
He'll be judged what he does with Johnny Fisher now, won't he, moving forward from debut?
Yeah, that's his chance now. Maybe because you can make excuses about the other guys, but there you go. You got this Johnny Fisher kid. Let's see what he can do.
I mean, if you go through all these trainers, there's hardly any world champions from debut for any of them, is there really? You've got McCracken with Froch. We've got Peter Fury with Savannah, but you could make a case for she had a first fight with Mayweather. in America. You know, we won at Mayweather's.
Yeah.
'Cause Peter didn't have Tyson, did he, from debut? He had Tyson for 8 fights, did he, from his 17th to his 25th. Caldwell's, I don't think he's had a British champion, has he, from debut? I'm not sure. He had a world champion, has he, from debut? Adam Bowes had David Hay, who were nailed on to win a world title, wasn't he? But he did well with Hay, didn't he? What was the other one Adam Bowes had? He's had a couple, hasn't he?
Yeah, George for a bit.
Yeah, George for a bit, and then they parted, didn't they? And when
Yeah,
George was
Brian Burnett.
Ryan Bennett, did he win a world title with him? He did, didn't he?
IBF, yeah, but not from debut. I don't know if he took him from debut or not. But
What about-
I guess,
What's
yeah.
that?
So when you analyze it and you say, look at Ben Davis, the fighters he's got at 28 years old, he'd never get in America because the trainers are too good over there. He'd never get a sniff. But because he's almost like the one-eyed man in the kingdom of the blind, he does. But here's where Ben's going to face a challenge. It's easy to be an analyst, right?
Mhm.
It's easy to be an analyst because you've got just loads of data. I can sit on YouTube for 10 years and tell you who the best jabs in boxing belong to. It's not hard. Here's what's really hard about boxing. Boxing is about what can you do in 180 seconds? What can you figure out in 180 seconds? What can you get across in the 60 seconds that follow? That's really where you earn your money.
Yeah.
You can do all the analysis you want, but like I say to people all the time, you know, when people used to talk to me about, yeah, can your guy spar my guy? I'd always say, yeah, confident. Because I'd always say to them, the guy you see today won't be the guy you fight. That's all you need to know. You're not going to learn anything today that's going to matter.
Mm.
And so when you're Ben, he doesn't realize that. The thing is, everyone knows what works in boxing, right? We all know what works. We all know what people should do. Right? You don't have to be a genius to figure that out. Real experience, Russ, is knowing what doesn't work and why.
Yeah.
That's where you see these guys like Jimmy Tibbs. When you see that gray hair on someone, you know he's made a lot of mistakes before. And that's why he can speak with authority now. You have to make your mistakes. So where's Ben Davison made his mistakes?
Well, Fury left him, didn't he? And Saunders, so something went right there, wasn't it?
But he didn't make a mistake with Fury. He just didn't unlock Fury's potential. I don't think that's a mistake because Fury did okay in that fight. And then Sugar Hill took it to another level. And that's the difference. Experience is everything.
Do you think that's why Ben has a go at British fighters, because he wants to be like American fighters and learn off them? I'm not saying he don't want to learn his craft, but he's still a young kid, isn't he, really?
As long as he learns from the right people, doesn't matter where he goes. There's no one he can learn from here.
Yeah.
You might get a little bump out of a guy like a Joe Gallagher. Yeah. You know what I mean? But who else has been in top level fights and made mistakes where they can say, listen, my experience tells me that this is the right way to do things now? No.
Hey, listen, Joe's CV is fantastic with kids from debut, isn't it? He's up there, isn't he?
Yeah. He knows, because Joe knows what he needs to do.
Yeah. Experience, isn't it, I suppose. I want to ask you, Terry, about Anthony Joshua. Do you feel that a lot's being made of him learning on the job and that? But when you look at his CV, really, he's a decorated amateur and a decorated professional, isn't he? Are you tired, like I am, of hearing about this? Well, he's only had so many fights and blah, blah, blah. Because there's people in the industry that are doubting that this Usyk fight happens and they could be having an interim. What do you think about that, Terry?
We never say Okoye's learning on the job. We've never said Josh Taylor's learning on the job.
No, we haven't.
I think they're both under 20 fights, aren't they?
Mm. And we never said Tony Bellew were learning that job as well when they were going in with Cleverly, did we?
No, because you're a professional. You don't learn on the job. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't be a professional if you're not ready to take the responsibility, and definitely don't be a world champion if you're not ready to take that responsibility. Because then that tells you it was a money grab.
Yeah.
So if Joshua believes he's the best in the world, then stop this learning on the job talk. Because if you're the best in the world, Porky, who are you learning off?
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. I thought I think sometimes when Anthony Joshua goes out on his interviews, if there's no preparation beforehand, I think he leaves us very vulnerable, very badly advised. Do you think? Because he's gone from being this Mr. Humble guy to this roadman and rogue type guy, and at some point he has his moments, doesn't he, where the mask slips. Do you think?
But I'm okay with that. Like, fine. Like, but just stop trying to be intellectual, because that's not who and what you are, mate. Like, you know, when you can see him trying to be really intellectual and deep and insightful, you're like, that's not who you are.
No.
Stop pretending. It's why we love Mike Tyson, right? Because Tyson didn't bother trying to. He's like, listen, I'm gonna take his head off. I'm gonna make him my girlfriend. And you're like, okay, I can relate to that.
What about what he said to Razor Ruddock? He said, why don't you come over here and kiss me with those big lips and I'll spare you on the night. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. And Razor Ruddock he were like the Hergovic of his day, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Hergovic, Parker's knocked the fight back. They're now offering it to Tony Yoka. What do you think? Louis Horse has knocked it back. What do you think about the Hergovic situation? Who is it who handles him? Is it Calla?
Co-promotion with Matchroom and Sauerland, isn't it?
Matchroom and Sauerland. Well, I'm just saying though that where do you see this Hergovic going? Has he got a win over Yoka in amateurs, or 2 wins over him? Yoka's got 1 over him. Yoka beat him in the Olympics, didn't he? Semis, didn't he, in Rio?
They fought in the World Juniors, and Hergovic would have won there, but I think he had been boxing for longer than Yoka.
Yeah.
And I remember they boxed in 2016 in the Olympics, and Yoka had a reasonably easy time of it and getting through, even with a bad ankle.
He got a bronze though, didn't he, Hergovic? Didn't he, at the Olympics?
Yeah, because they that was in the semis.
Yeah. So this Yoka, why is he not a superstar? He looks the part, 6'7". He's got the Joshua physique going on. He's a better boxer. He's young. Why is he not a superstar outside of France? Because in France, he's a pretty fated guy. He's like the Beckham of France, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he doesn't speak English.
Oh, right. Is that his problem, Terry? All right.
Yeah. He might just do a Canelo on us one day and just start speaking English. And at that point there, watch his following will just go through the roof.
Do you mean Canelo, who's favourite fighter in UK is Terry Harper? That Canelo? According to Eddie Hearn.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's exactly, you know, it's not Joshua. Don't worry, it's not Joshua. It's Terry Harper.
Okay. BT Sport takeover at DAZN, 800 million. Do you think it's an older old poppycock, or do you think it's going through? What do you think? And where does it leave Bricktop if it goes through?
It's been dragging on. So there are clearly probably 3 areas where they can't agree. Number 1, price. Number 2, how it's funded. That's going to be the key thing, because remember, DAZN are laden with debt at the moment. So they'd have to, if they took over BT, they'd have to find ways of generating cash immediately. So you'd have to sell off something. So what do? Do you sell off the rugby? Do you sell that to Sky to get a bit of cash to keep your creditors happy? I don't know. But it's those little nuances that would make this deal pretty hard, because all DAZN want is the Premier League. All the other stuff is irrelevant to them. All the documentary making, no, we can do that ourselves. We just want the Premiership. So I imagine that's where the sticking point is. With Frank, they have a contract with Frank. They can just pay him to go. Yeah. It's not that expensive. It's like, look, here's our commitment to you. There you go. There's your money. Good luck to you. So BT might be saying, you pay Frank to leave.
Yeah, interesting. But we both know, because we've been around the game long enough, that if there's any problems, Frank will have lawyers on tap for this one, won't he?
Frank can't afford the lawyers these guys can afford. He won't even start. By the time they
have on retainers though, don't they? Have them on a retainer all year round though, won't they?
No, you won't have lawyers as good. You see, Frank's got that that lawyer in St. Albans that just sends letters, right? These guys have guys who will show up in navy blue suits and red ties, and those guys come in at like 450 an hour.
Yeah, that's why I should have stopped on at school and done my maths. 450 an hour. Right. There's been a bit of talk, and they've knocked it back actually. The Chisora camp. Hughie Fury against Chisora. I said, a good fight. People say, oh, you only say that because you like Hughie. I think it's a good fight for both. Gets Derek back in mix, but they've scuppered it, or the team. There's like a Cold War going on, isn't there? People don't talk about the Cold War between Warren and Hearn. It's a bit deeper than what people are letting on in it, Terry. This is why Sky pulled the plug, because he realised that nobody wanted to work with Hearn, didn't want to work with anybody. Do you feel that Sky made the right decision, and is Hearn wrong to block Chisora versus Hughie?
Well, neither guy is likely to challenge for a world title in the next year and a half, if we're being honest. So then my next question is, would this be an entertaining fight? No, it wouldn't. I think Hughie would keep it on the end of his jab. He'd be able to do it for long enough. The only jeopardy in this fight is, would the cut open up again? And if so, what would that do for the fight? And I don't want to be a human being that sits there praying for someone to get cut. So I'm not going to be like that. I feel for Hughie, because I almost feel if I was Hughie right now, I'd be saying I'll take the Hrgovic fight. That's the direction I'd be going in right now.
That might be happening. That might be happening if they get that money right, because it's quite frustrating for Hughie at the moment. I
wouldn't even care about the money.
Yeah, no.
I'd say, right, final eliminator. The winner fights Usyk or Joshua. For Hughie's not scared of either of those guys. Go for it.
Do you feel, Terry, that looking at the heavyweight landscape, I've had this conversation with Julian McGowan, who speaks a lot of sense, like you, and Richard Rotherham. You've got Hrgovic, you've got Joyce, we've got Yoka, we've got Hughie, we've got Tyson. Obviously, Tyson and Hughie can't fight, the cousins. We've got Joshua, Dylan White, Chisora. We've got all them there. There's only Derek that's really fought any of them, isn't there? Joshua fought Dylan White, didn't he? But out of all them, Derek's probably the man, isn't he, for taking challenges on, do you think?
But that's true in boxing. I don't think no one's faced a higher caliber of opposition than Derek.
We know he's failed at this level, don't we? But I'm not saying all other ones don't want to fight. There's always seems to be problems behind the scenes, whether it's politics or fights not happening. And then we can sit and watch stuff on YouTube, the great nights, the great HBO nights and stuff like that. And these guys all fought. And then I look at this lot now, and I wonder what I'm involved in here, what I'm talking about, and what am I watching? Where are we going with it, Terry? Why are these fights not happening? It's just getting to the stage where, like I said to you, and we had all the statistics, the 18 to 24-year-olds are turning off, but the 10 to 15-year-olds are not tuning in, are they? Help me out here. What do you think?
Here's the issue, Russ. You see all these guys that are involved in boxing, and so you have some of them on your channel. They love the gossip and the intrigue, right? But gossip and intrigue is not sport. So youngsters see a bunch of guys in their 30s and 40s talking about gossip, and they just go, "You guys are bitches. I'm not being part of that." You know what I mean? How embarrassing. So then they go, "All right, I'm going to go and do something else." You don't get this nonsense with downhill mountain biking. You don't get this nonsense with free running. And they go and find something else to do. Yeah, you don't get none of that nonsense. All those guys back in the day, like John Tomac and all of that, they weren't talking about, purse splits and stuff. There are a lot of grown men involved in boxing who are bitches. Yeah.
Mm.
And listen, whoever's going to try and write a clever comment, save it. I don't read that stuff anymore. But that's my point, Russ. At some point, we need to get back to a sport where tough men get in and slug it out. That's all.
Like the
None of this,
like the Super Six.
except quicker. That Super Six just dragged out. And that's another problem with boxing. Like, that should have just been done in a weekend.
A weekend.
Yeah. Just listen, you fight him, you fight him, you fight him, you fight him on the Friday, fight him on the Saturday, fight him on the Sunday.
What about cuts and recovery and that? You're talking rubbish, Terry, there.
Well, no, hold on, Russ. But the amateurs do it. That's exactly what the amateurs do.
Yeah, they've got headgear on, haven't they?
Nope, no headgear. Box on
No
the Friday,
headgear.
box on the Saturday, box on the Sunday.
Hey,
These guys are professional. They train harder than the amateurs, right? Theoretically, they do. Why can't you fight? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Maybe you make it 10 rounds or something. I'm okay with that. But this idea that it took 2 years, it's not about recovery, Russ. You know, it's about money.
Yeah.
How can we squeeze the most money out of the fans?
Yeah, well, maybe it promoters at fault then and not the fighters.
Well, it's never the fight. I say this repeatedly. Fighters aren't scared of each other, right? But what's happened in this kind of post-Mayweather world is people have become so obsessed with the money. And actually, the person to blame for this is Eddie Hearn. Who spoke about purse splits before Eddie Hearn showed up? Remember back in the day, he'd go, look, yeah. Remember, Eddie was like, yeah, the purse splits aren't right. And Eddie kind of lifted the veil on what happens behind the scenes. And now that he's at the top, he's now trying to put that veil back down. It's like, it's too late, mate. You created a monster here.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Fights are just not happening, are they? And it's starting to get me mad. Right,
but remember, Russ, they never have historically. The only time you can talk about great fights happening in a way that made sense would have been Sugar Ray Leonard versus Duran, where they fought
9 times
twice in under 12 months.
Fought 9 times, didn't they?
Yeah, and and then you got the Gatti Ward trilogy that happened pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But generally, if you think about, they always talk about the Four Kings, right?
Yeah.
That's a 7-year story.
9 fights in 7 years.
Well, but in terms of them at their peak, like if you think that the last great fight between those guys was Hagler versus Hearn, so that's what, 87?
87, yeah. But didn't Leonard and Hearns fight after that? 80, something like that.
But they were all washed up by that point.
Yeah.
But look, that's a whole decade's worth of fighting for 4 people. So boxing's slow, mate, and I don't understand why, but it's slow.
Yeah. What about let's give a mention to the gentleman, 26-year-old, the Asian lad who's had to retire.
Cash Farouk.
Yeah, what's happened there?
Gutted for him. Well, so Martin said, right? The board got sued by Gutnick's family.
That's why there's a lot of problems about that at the moment, isn't there?
So they're zeroing in. I said it on my show. If you're a boxer right now, you better get your brain scan straight. You better get your medical history straight, because the board are coming looking for that stuff now. Any reason they can give to turn down your application, they'll take that, because they're not trying to get sued again.
But yet they'll license Scott Williams, who's had 21 fights, 21 losses, and still keep wheeling him out.
As long as you suffer no brain damage, you can't sue someone because you're rubbish at boxing. You see what I mean?
Terry, a few years ago, you had to go up in front of the board if you lost 5 on trot, didn't you? You know that. I know that.
Yeah.
Why have they stopped that now?
Because they realize some people lose deliberately, which isn't a great advert for boxing, but there is some people.
You mean move arounds?
Yeah.
Why
So I'll
have
give
we
you an
got-
example.
Well,
Good example. Jordan Granham, right?
no.
Jordan Granham could win an English title if he wanted to. Could probably fight for a British if he wanted to. But he's a journeyman. And he's in there with guys he knows he's better than. But he knows he can't beat them because there's money behind them and nothing behind him.
Well, that's corrupt then, isn't it? That's corruption in my eyes, that. That's corruption, needs sorting. Am I right? Fighters getting in ring and not trying, what's all that about?
Well, I think the expression is they try enough.
I've seen fights where Willie Warburton's turned up and turned people on their head and not got the decision. So, okay. Nathan Cleverly, are you worried for his mental health?
100%. Where is he? What's he doing? Has anyone even seen him?
I've heard he's been whacking up in fields and all sorts.
And it's strange how remember Calzaghe was like a mentor to him, and you don't hear Calzaghe talk about Nathan anymore.
You probably out with him. You not invited me. Go on, girl.
Oh my God.
Right, I know it's like Animal Farm, isn't it? Let's have a look. I came out with a story a couple of weeks ago. I said Josh Warrington is going to fight Martinez in March, blah blah blah, and it's happening in March. So I'm quite proud of myself, quite chuffed. But what do you think to the undercard? I got Max Hughes on there. He's done well, hasn't he? The last 18 months, and Ebony Bridges is back. What do you think to that, Terry?
They're going to milk this Ebony Bridges thing, right? Because they know what sort of people boxing fans are. So they know boxing fans are stupid and they'll buy into all of this nonsense. So keep milking Ebony Bridges. I've said it numerous times. Boxing fans are, as a group, pretty fucking stupid, to be honest with you. And so they just swallow all of this stuff. What they should have done a long time ago is they should have just turned off Matchroom and said, we ain't watching no more Matchroom fights. But they don't have the backbone to do it. That's why they're boxing fans and not boxers. They don't have the heart to do it. So listen, you're going to get what you're given. Good on Hearn for shafting some of these idiots. And I bet there are all these little numpties in Yorkshire planning their trip up to Leeds to go and watch that. To watch Warrington versus Martinez. Repeat, Warrington versus Warrington that got slapped about by a 22-year-old fucking, what's his name? Lara.
Oh.
The guy that probably rolled your burrito or whatever 2 weeks ago, man. Like, we're being serious here. Josh Warrington, he got beaten up. I don't care what anyone says, and he looked scared to be in the ring with that guy. Now Hearn goes, yeah, we'll put you in with Kiko Martinez, who's been washed up since he was last washed up. And you have fans on Twitter going, oh, that's a good fight, that is. Yeah, be a good night out in Leeds. Yeah, great. They're the problem. Those idiots there, the bedwetters, man, they're the problem with boxing. That's why youngsters don't like the sport, because they see grown-ass men acting like bitches. That's why they don't like the sport. That's why boxing's dying.
Do you feel, Terry, that Josh Warrington has done well to get a world title shot, because he's coming off a draw and a loss, isn't he? Against the same guy.
A guy he didn't win a round against. Let's be real. He didn't win a second of the fight against. Not 1 second, but across 2 fights did he win a single second against the guy. The guy made him look like the overrated person we thought he was. And now you got Kiko Martinez getting a career. How old is Kiko Martinez? 39?
I don't know, he's knocking on a bit now, and he looks like he's had a big paper round, doesn't he?
Mate, he looks a bit like you.
He does now, doesn't he?
Yeah. You could run into the first direct arena and just say you're Kiko.
You're full of compliments, Terry.
Nah, that's it's a fight. I'm kind of okay. Well, I was okay with it initially. Then I reflected on it and I said, Hearn's just recycling some old shit I don't care about. I really don't care about Kiko Martinez, and I kind of don't care about Josh Warrington anymore because there's no one left for him to fight.
Josh Wales' farewell fight is next month in Barnsley. He's the only one without an opponent on the night. He's been a good servant to British boxing, British champion. Do you feel that because he's not as vocal on certain YouTube channels that he hasn't had the kudos he should get?
Nah, it's just not very good.
That's a bit harsh, Terry, isn't it?
No, it's not. Well, okay, you tell me why I should rate him as good.
British champion.
Hmm?
He was British champion and world ranked
Against
at one
who?
point.
Against who?
Well, obviously not world beaters, but he still picked up a British title, didn't he?
I'm not giving people. Listen, I'm not. He may be your mate's kid in that, but I'm not going to give someone credit for getting a lucky British title win. Like he's. You're right. He's a good servant to the sport, but in terms of he didn't get the credit he deserves, yeah, he did. He's below average. I mean, he's a. And that kind of what you call it, featherweight. That featherweight division in this country is stacked. You could have had fights against anybody.
Where do you see Kid Galahad going now? Because he looks like he's had his nose pushed out, doesn't
He had a rematch clause, right, against Kiko Martinez.
he? Yeah.
Imagine you've got a rematch clause and Hearn says you're not using that rematch clause. Imagine that, right? You're so used to Hearn going, we're going to activate that rematch clause on Monday. And then it's your turn and he goes, no. Sorry, mate. I've got to make money with this belt and you're not the money man, Kid Galahad. I've got to pimp this IBF belt out for all I can get. This is my only bait for Gary Russell. Listen, Kell Brook found out the hard way, right? Hearn's loyal to himself. He ain't loyal to you. I don't know where Galahad should have gone. Maybe he should have spoken to Sky. I don't know. But you got a knockout loss. Hearn ain't even going to let you avenge that loss. You got no belt, no fan base, no revenue. Who are you going to fight? People just like, nah, I'm not fighting Kid Galahad.
And is the contract void now has been knocked out? It will be, won't it?
Which contract?
He had a 5-fight deal, didn't he, with Eddie Hearn? He signed for the zone, didn't he? When he beat Yazza Dickens, he signed with the zone on a 5-fight deal.
So I don't think you can void a 5-fight deal because someone loses. I don't think, yeah. A contract's a contract, Russ, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just imagine Hearn's just gone, no. You still got your rematch clause. We just never said when the rematch should happen. So he'll just drag it out. If Martinez loses, then you have the Galahad rematch. If Galahad wins, you have the Warrington fight. Hearn's not stupid. He already saw where the chess pieces fell.
Yeah. Yeah, he's looking at the numbers, isn't he? And Sheffield didn't do numbers for him, did it?
No, but Leeds will, because,
Yeah.
you know, Hearn will be out there talking up Leeds, and you'll get Calvin Phillips out and Luke Ayling. You'll have all these guys talking about how they do a bit of boxing when they're not training and all this sort of nonsense. And the fans will buy it. They'll buy it again, won't they? Oh, yeah, boxing at Leeds, man. Boxing up north. Boxing, great, buzzing in that. Ah, right, lad.
You're having a proper go today, you, Terry, aren't you? Us Northerners.
These fucking headbangers, man. Just admit that this Warrington versus Kiko Martinez fight is an attempt to steal money out your pocket. Do the right thing and do not go. Yeah, just don't go. Just refuse to go. That's what I'm asking. Refuse to go.
It's in bad taste, in my opinion, because Warrington's already beat Martinez, but Martinez has got a belt, and that's the problem, Terry, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Daniel Dubois, what next for him, Terry?
What do you do with him? I heard they hit the floor though, Porky. They hit the floor.
I've gone 2-2 out of 4 Cobs today. Not bad, that, is
Yeah.
it? 2-2.
How many by way of?
2.
No, what's Daniel going to do? I wish the kid all the best. I'm glad he's been able to rebuild somewhat, but you're in the WBA, which is a Hearn-controlled body. They'll find reasons for you not to fight for that title, man. Like, maybe it was with the wrong governing body. It looks like Don King wants Trevor Bryan to fight this month, so I don't know who Dubois is going to fight. Because if Trevor Bryan fights this month, he ain't going to fight Dubois in March, is he?
No.
So who do you put him in with? Who's going to be like credible in terms of building a name? Manuel Cha? Okay. But what does that really do? Like, Dubois is the sort of guy that's got to be in with like a Michael Hunter now.
Do you feel that Frank's put all his chess pieces in really good positions? You know, like Yard, Joyce, Dubois, you know, Dennis McCann, they all seem to be coming to fruition now, don't they?
Yeah. You know, we like to give Frank a kicking, but you got to give Frank his due on this one. He's moved his chess pieces intelligently, and you know, he's got Callum Johnson and Anthony Yard waiting for Joe Smith, so they're decent money fights. He's got Joyce waiting for whoever wins between Joshua and Usyk. He's got Dubois waiting for whoever wins between Joshua and Usyk. He's doing just about enough. You got to give him his due. Liam Williams is kind of floating around waiting as well.
What do you see? Sorry.
I was saying, and even having to pay for Liam Williams to fight Eubank. So yeah, Frank's happy.
What do you see happening with Chris Eubank and Liam Williams?
I think you got to have the fight here. I think they'll move it to here. Yeah. Copper Box looks like it's free unless they're doing netball again.
Do you see Chris Eubank beating Williams?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like comfortably.
People have said that Liam Williams is a typical on-top fighter. Where when you give it to him, he don't like it. What do you think to that? Harsh.
He's got a kind of style, right? That if he gets going, he's hard to stop. But you have to be a really good boxer to stop him from going. So I'm not going to say he's on top, because this is a fight that will tell us what he's like. Because I think style-wise, they'll match up quite nicely. And so there'll be some give and take in the early rounds. And will he have the mental strength to see it through from there? Because remember Liam Smith he fought, right?
Yeah.
They all got a bit tetchy and a bit needly between those two when Liam couldn't have his own way against Liam Smith.
Yeah. Interesting. Liam Smith, Jesse Vargas, what do you think to that?
Same thing I think about Warrington versus Kiko Martinez. Like, this guy, neither guy is relevant anymore. But if they can put on a good fight, I'll watch that. Like, they look like two guys who realize, actually, my role now in boxing is to have entertaining fights. People call for me to be on another show, and I'll keep getting paid for just being entertaining. So I'll be okay with that if it's entertaining.
Yeah. What do you think to Adrian Broner, rumoured to be fighting Conor Benn in March?
Nah, I called it last year, Porks. I said he'll fight Maurice Hooker. They're not fighting Adrian Broner. No chance in hell they're fighting Adrian Broner.
You'd have thought a fit Adrian Broner, a 4-weight world champion, would have too much for Conor Benn, wouldn't you?
Well, he hasn't been active.
Mm.
And remember, boxing is a sport of consistency, not skill. It's about consistency. Yeah. Conor hasn't missed a session. Broner hasn't had a session.
Oh, he looks like he's had a few sessions, Broner, but in
Looks like he inherited your crown, Porky.
He looks like a terrorist with that big beard, doesn't he? Have you seen big belly on him as well, Terry? Big old rop on him like that, man. Like Billy Bunter. You seen it? You seen
Hilarious.
it?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. He's got, what's he got? 10 women after him for child support. He's got a lot of problems, hasn't he? Like Evander Holyfield has.
All of his own making. Like you're around Mayweather. Mayweather was telling you, walk a straight line. Like, Mayweather tells all of them, walk a straight line. That's how you stay rich in the sport, by walking a straight line. Not that Floyd was perfect before people jump on in the comments, but Floyd seems to be the guy that's held it together better than most.
Mike Tyson, Holyfield, Broner, Tommy Hearns, Riddick Bowe. The list is endless, isn't it? And multi-millionaires ended up on Skid Row.
Yeah, like there's a real skill to having money. There is. That's why people who know how to make money can lose it and make it back. And it's why people who don't know how to handle money can lose it, get it, lose it, and keep losing it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. What do you think about the drug testing situation at the moment? Nobody seems to be mentioning it, Terry, do they? Is there any testing happening?
Mate, I think we all know. Right? We all know that UKAD are just trying to avoid lawsuits. And I think they've just accepted boxing's a cesspool anyway, so they're just like, whatever.
Amir Khan's saying he's not had one test in his camp yet in 5 weeks.
But isn't he in Omaha?
I don't know where he is.
I thought he was training with Crawford in Omaha.
Well, that's America, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, who's going to test him? UKAD ain't paying that money to fly him out there with all the COVID tests and this, that, and the other. Expensive, mate.
Do you think there'll be any testing for that fight?
Nope.
No belt online, is there?
Nah, so what are you testing for? Just go, listen, you lot. Yeah. Do whatever you need to do to get right, and we'll see you in February for the fight.
What do you think of Kell Brook's comments coming out saying that he's going to turn up even if he's got broken hands? He just wants to get the payday, you think?
That's deeper than that. They just don't like each other. This is a fight that Kell's got no excuses for. I don't want to hear none of this. I wasn't up for it. Here's your lifelong rival, your career-long rival. Here's the guy who you're looking at it going, I should have been at that Olympics as well. Like your whole life. It reminds me of Antonio Tarver and Roy Jones. You know, guys who have been rivals since they were kids. And like they've never been cool. They've never really been mates. You never see Tarver hanging out with Roy Jones. Never. Because they don't like each other. Because they've been rivals from day one.
We got to Tarver went to Olympics in '96 and Roy in '88, didn't he, as a kid?
Yeah. But they boxed each other in like the Florida Junior Olympics in 1982. I think that was the first time they boxed each other. Or was it 81? Something like that.
Gerald McClellan boxed Roy Jones in amateurs and beat him twice, didn't he? Comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. You know the forgotten men of British boxing. You know the Martin J. Wards, people like that. What do you think about them at the moment, Terry? Because they don't seem to get a look in, do they?
I don't have to, right? Boxing's a product. I'm not here to make sure people can eat. I'm not here to make sure people have their self-esteem. I'm here to watch entertaining fights. If you deliver those, fine. If you don't, fine. You're mostly invisible to me if you're not active. So, you know, are you really a boxer if you don't box? I don't know. I don't think you are.
What do you think about Eddie Hearn's numbers on IFL at the moment? They don't seem to be doing too good, do they, Terry?
People are just fed up of it. Like, you know, people want the truth. They want that Porky's corner feel. They want to feel that it's true. They want to feel that there's someone on their side. And they know Eddie's not for them. Like, he'll just lie to you. The thing I don't understand is why people still listen.
Not as many listening at the moment, though, is he?
Yeah, but just even what you shouldn't even have one because you know you're being lied to. So think of the stupidity you have to tune in and go, oh, maybe this one time in 400 he will tell me the truth. There are a lot of people struggling spiritually in the sport, mate.
Oh, you'll see it more close up than me because you're affiliated with Jim, aren't you, at Fitzroy Lodge?
Yeah, mate. I can see why people leave the sport and don't come back.
Yeah, I've got. I'm going to Dewsbury tomorrow to Julian McGowan's going to do some filming there. And I've got Rico on Saturday, so we've had all the big heavyweights on. Kent,
Dewsbury. I once played rugby league for Dewsbury in a friendly.
Did you?
Yeah, I was our eight, lad.
Well, I've had Kent on and you today, Julian tomorrow, Rico Saturday. So you know what I might do? I might just put all four out in one day and then let everybody have a Porky's Corner feast.
No. Your numbers will suffer.
So I stagger them then, yeah?
Yeah. Well, people just get fatigued, right? So if you could tell your audience now, I want to put all four out on the same day, and they'll get super excited. But what happens is they get distracted and then they forget, right? So you've just given people four bits of content in one day, and then there's nothing either side of that. So you got to give it to them every other day. Yeah. You really. Okay. I don't want to say. Yeah, you give people a reminder that there's content. Otherwise, if you give them too much too soon, hey, they won't listen. There's not enough hours in the day.
I gave them 4 last night as a treat.
Yeah, mate, I've been doing this podcast thing for so long. I know what numbers do. There's a sweet spot that everyone will have. For some people, it's one piece of content every day. For some, it's one every 3 days. For some, it's once a week. And like when your numbers will tell you what works. But normally dropping 2 or 3 pieces in one go, mate, you just shoot yourself in the foot.
Okay. Well, listen, thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Mate, no worries.
Hope you're well. What you got on for us today?
Work, really. That's about it. I'll put some blinds up. I've been getting up at like stupid o'clock in the morning to try and do these blinds either side of work, man. Whatever you do not try and put blinds up by yourself, mate. It's not worth the hassle. I promise to God, it's not worth the hassle.
No. Have you got a Makita battery drill? Have you got a Makita battery drill?
No, I've got a JCB one. Like I think it's like 15 different speeds. Mate. This thing could drill a hole in the world. But it's not even that, Porky. It's the level of accuracy you need. Because if you get one hole wrong, whew.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so you're up to eyes in it then. No problems. Okay then. Well, listen. You take care. Have a great day.
You too, mate.
And we'll speak
take
again.
Care, mate.
Good, mate.
No worries, Porky. All right, bye.
Well, that was Terry. I'm going to put 4 out on Sunday. I'll probably stagger them now then. Put 4 out yesterday. So it went all right. Eventually people come back and watch it, don't they? But if you mean for quick numbers, yeah, but I don't know, you've got to experiment, haven't you? And whatever, but okie dokie then. All right, so thanks for coming on. I'm off to do a bit of training now. Peace out. Robert Smith, do the right thing. Sort Gary Sykes' belt out and put it in history books that he's British champion outright at super featherweight. And I'll leave you alone, Robert Smith.